In this video, we'll give you the best tight end to target in the third and fourth rounds in 2024 fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim Coventry with Anthony Cervino of Rotowire. Let's start out with Sam LaPorta. Now, look, Sam LaPorta couldn't be in a better situation. The league last year played 73% zone defenses, and we saw the evolution of the tight end position last year, where we had 6 tight ends who were very good at manipulating zone defenses. Sam LaPorta was definitely in that group. And also, we know in Detroit, Jared Goff is at his best when he's throwing in the middle of the field, and his offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, has been amazing at crafting offenses that play to those strengths. Now, LaPorta is not just a middle of the field player only. The beauty of LaPorta is when the team stacks receivers on one side of the field, LaPorta can line up as an isolated X, and he can actually win in those scenarios as well. So he is very good. But the knock on LaPorta last year, 28th percentile in yards after the catch. So he is not a dynamic athlete once the ball is in his hands. Now, the good news was he had 120 targets last year, and that number is going to be very hard to go over. Not many tight ends really surpass a number like that. LaPorta also scored 10 touchdowns as a rookie, and certainly a player can repeat that, but there are very few tight ends with double-digit touchdowns in the last 5 years. It's a small number, so getting to that level, it's not an automatic. Now, LaPorta's going off the board as the first or second tight end in many drafts, probably the first more than not. His 882 yards last year. That is not a usual number for an overall tight end one. George Kittle was over 1,000 yards last year. So be careful with LaPorta that we're counting on the touchdowns to come back. The yardage was okay, but be careful where you're drafting him.
Jim, I'm going to talk about Travis Kelce and why I'm all in on this tight end for a bounce back year. Last year, it was un-Kelce-like. Now, he was the tight end 3 overall and the tight end 1 in points per game. But overall, it was not our normal Travis Kelce season. In fact, 5 total touchdowns, his fewest since 2019. 984 receiving yards. For the first time, he failed to reach over 1,000 receiving yards since 2015. This guy's normally Mr. Automatic. I think he bounces back. Here's why. Last year, remember, in the preseason, that lower body injury, I believe that lingered. They also added some additional help that I believe is going to get Travis Kelce some more layups in the middle of the field. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. We're probably not going to see a Rashee Rice suspension this year. It's not a lock, but as we get closer to the season, it's going to probably be pushed back to 2025, which means all of these weapons on the field, especially these speedsters on the outside, they're going to pull that coverage down the field. And Travis Kelce, for the first time probably since Tyreek Hill, he's going to own the middle of the field, which is going to correlate to more fantasy football points. Now, Kelce, we know what he brings to the table with Patrick Mahomes. Last year, he had the 3rd most deep targets at the tight end position, 2nd most red zone targets. Andy Reid, we know he likes to do that little shovel pass inside the red zone as well. There's many ways that Travis Kelce can bring you fantasy football points in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. We know they're going to throw the football. This is what they want to do. Now, I like Isaiah Pacheco, but this is still a team in the past 2 seasons. They were bottom 8 in team run plays per game. This is a Patrick Mahomes offense. I'm in a Mahomes bounce back, and I fully believe that Travis Kelce at cost is one of the best values on the board.
If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content and our rankings by getting a free 2-day trial with no credit card needed. You just head over to rotowire.com/Jim and you check out all of our content. Now, the last tight end in this, we call it an ADP battle here, is Trey McBride. McBride was amazing last year. In the first 5 games, he hardly played. Zach Ertz was the lead tight end. So through 5 games, McBride had 69 yards. That was it, like 14 yards a game. Well, after that, we see McBride end the season with 825 yards. And the thing was, McBride was averaging from week 6 on 8 targets per game. Now, over a full season, that would be 136. But I think that's dangerous to extrapolate those targets out because we need to understand that Marquise Brown missed significant time. Michael Wilson missed significant time. And often McBride was the de facto number one receiver in the offense. Well, this year we have Marvin Harrison come in, certainly set to command alpha level targets. Michael Wilson started the season strong through 8 games. The last 2 games when he was healthy, played well. McBride is going to be a piece of that offense, but he should not be the focal point. And also, when we ended last season, McBride didn't end it on the highest of notes. He did have at least 31 yards in his last 3 games, but in those last 3 games, he didn't surpass 48. And I know 48 is not bad, but based on the season McBride was having, it wasn't quite the same. Defenses were beginning to look for him a bit. All that said, if the targets are not there, and they may not be, McBride may be overdrafted. In terms of the final verdict on this, in this earlier 3rd to 4th round, the only tight end I really want in this group is Kelce, because I believe that Kelce can lap the field. He can get back to those higher levels. I do worry about the age a little bit and injury concern from last year, but nonetheless, he plays at a high level. He averaged 21.5 PPR points in the 4-week NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
LaPorta is second, though I'm not likely to draft many shares because I believe there are tight ends later that can put up similar production. McBride is third. Again, we like the player, but I think the situation, he's going to see a vast decline in targets. Anthony, how do you rank these guys out?
Yeah, I'm right here with you. No argument there. Kelce is not only my tight end 1 here, but he's my overall tight end 1 in my fantasy football rankings. Normally, we know we have to draft Kelce in the back of the 1st round, maybe early 2nd round if we're lucky. We're getting him somewhere in the 3rd round, sometimes behind Sam LaPorta. Kelce is, if I'm taking an early tight end, I'm with it. He's my smash early tight end every time. Number 2 is Sam LaPorta. What I worry about with Sam LaPorta is chasing those touchdowns. I worry about this Detroit offense. They have a great running back tandem. Maybe they deploy Gibbs a little bit more inside the red area. Maybe we see a final breakout year from Jameson Williams, which can potentially take touchdowns and targets away from Sam LaPorta. And finally, number 3, Trey McBride is somebody I don't have a lot of. I love what he did down the stretch last year. But when we factor in the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., when we factor in Michael Wilson going into year 2, they have Dortch, they have Zay Jones, and very capable pass catcher in James Conner in that backfield. I worry about the overall opportunity share going in Trey McBride's direction.